Well, hello, everyone. Welcome in. Thank you so much for being here. Really good to see you. Hard to believe we're into the month of July 2025. Really hard to believe. And we have a very special guest joining us this evening to tell about receiving the ransom demand. I do want to clarify. When Mindy sent it to me and I submitted it to all agencies, Mindy had already reported it to an agency. I just wanted you all to know that because the way I was putting it and I submitted it in, she sent it to me and I submitted it, didn't clarify that she as well submitted it and she has her emails and receipts with her tonight to show you all. Before reaching out to me, she had reported it to an agency and then I reported it to all of them. Okay. So I did want to make sure. There are some people out there that were questioning that, saying we're making it up. And of course, indeed, certainly, we would never make up a ransom request. That would be illegal. We would be in a whole lot of trouble. And that wouldn't be helpful to Sebastian. And we here are very helpful to Sebastian, doing what we can when we can. And we are Sebastian's army. So welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. We have our friend Mindy, who is the one who did receive the ransom demand, reached out to me, and she did, before she reached out to me, like I said, she did report it to an agency. She brought her email receipts. We have them in a slideshow here for you. And she's going to explain the whole situation, how he found her, what was going through her mind, how she felt. She and I went back and forth. We're nervous. We were going back and forth. It was quite the week, but I really want us to be kind and gracious, because when people are vigilant and do the right thing, we want to encourage that, right? Just like we would want someone to come forward and collect that reward. And we would never want to ignore what if Mindy had just turned her head to that. She would never know. We would never know, right? You have to check things out. So without further ado, welcome, Mindy.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you
Well,
hear me? Okay. Okay.
I
I just wanted to make sure.
welcome into Crime Time Buzz.
Hi, it's nice to finally talk to you.
Yes.
Like live.
Hmm?
I
Go
said it's
ahead.
nice to finally talk to you live instead of, through messaging.
Yes, it is. It is. And I want to thank you for reporting that when you received it and then reaching out to me. And the entire interaction was just surreal, was it not?
I have never, ever experienced anything like it.
Mhm.
It was just emotions, like a million different emotions within a matter of like 3 days. It was crazy.
Yes, it was
And
something
it was
else.
very scary, very, very scary.
Very, absolutely. It was scary. One second, I do want to address something in the chat. We will not be showing Mindy's face, because when you are dealing with people in this kind of world who would do these kind of things, they are not safe people. So for Mindy's safety, we appreciate that she's here, but no, we certainly won't be showing her image. And I crossed out her name in the emails. So go ahead, my friend. I'm sorry. So let me ask you a couple of questions.
Okay.
How did, I know said you were very shocked, and we're getting started right away, everyone. And I hope maybe we should wait a minute or two, let some people come in. Let's wait a minute or two. I'll do some thank yous. My mods, I want to thank you always for being here. I really do. God's girl, hello. Hi, Shirley. Good to see you. Thank you, Shirley. I appreciate that. Yes, safety first. Hi, Tracy. Hi, Cece. Hi, Teresa. Kiki. Meow. Mima, 4 missing children. Lori Wind. Hello, hello, Tracy. Alicia C. Broken Branch. You guys have great names. Charlene, Tam here. All my mods. Hello, hello. Thank you so much for being here. Maria, welcome to the family reunions and to the family. Saturdays at 1 p.m. Eastern. And hi, Chicken Lady. How you doing? Welcome in, everyone. Please hit that like button as you're coming in. Hello, Lisa Rue. Hello, Maduke. Connie. Everyone, welcome in. Well, we tonight have our friend Mindy, who is going to explain how this person got in touch with her, why it surprised her so much that someone got in touch with her. And if I haven't greeted you personally, hey, Cece, Teresa, please know that we are so appreciative that you're here, that you're a part of Sebastian's army, that you haven't given up. We're all still going looking and going to locate Sebastian and bring him home. And that was the saddest thing about this entire thing is we had our hopes. We really thought he was going to come home and hug his dad. Right, Mindy?
Yes, yes, that is exactly what we hoped for.
Yes, and it was a very disappointing. Yes, Cece, we're all being real careful. We are. Um, it was very unnerving, but it wasn't the ending we wanted. But you know what? At least they made contact at night, made contact, and are tracking him. So why don't you start with my friend? Because I'll just keep rambling. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Hello, meet Mindy. On what date did you receive your message, the first contact?
Okay, so the initial contact, which is why part of the reason that makes this all just so strange and so weird and make you think, no, this can't be. But then you're like, wait a minute, maybe it's been 16 months. Like at this point, you know what I mean? I just was like, anything, because I have been following the case. I do have a son who is the same age as Sebastian with high functioning autism, very, very similar. So my heart breaks for Seth Rogers. It breaks for him. It makes me want to cry just talking about it.
Bless you,
Um,
me too.
but anyways, my dog, I have four children. I'm only going to talk about my youngest. I just mentioned with the one with high functioning autism, and my oldest. She had received a Facebook message from this random person, and it was initially uh, trying to find me. They were asking, please get in touch with Mindy. I know where Sebastian is. And of course, my daughter who's 24, she was like, wait a minute, what? And so she engaged with this person somewhat, and I immediately, was like, is this real? Is it not real? And so I messaged this person. My Facebook account is private for this exact reason, because I do have a child with high functioning autism, and I worry about, stuff. So I don't post a lot on Facebook. My Facebook is private. However, the only thing you will see on my Facebook is Sebastian's flyer, weekly, sometimes daily. Anytime there's an update, I would always post that on my Facebook, and that I would post that public because I want everybody to see, because I want Sebastian to be found. I want him to come home. And so with that, my daughter, like I said, she had, came to me and was like, Mom, and so I immediately looked up this name, and I messaged and was like, hey, call 911. I'm sure everybody saw kind of the screen recording that I did of the messages. And at first I'm like, take a picture, call 911. But my thought immediately was, could this be real? And 16 months he's been missing. It has to be reported. And so,
Absolutely.
yes. But like, why wouldn't I report it? And I will say that I have sit back. I've been, in the bushes for 16 months. I've seen it all on YouTube. I don't, I comment maybe every once in a while in people's chat, but I have seen it all. And my initial thought was I wanted to get it to Dog's team, and so that's exactly what I did. The first initial, when I received the message from my daughter and messaged this person and had the contact, I immediately reached out to the Sebastian at manhunts.one. And after that, I followed up with the the other email, I actually made a phone call to the number that's on the flyer, sent all this information in, and this all happened. It started on June the 22nd, which was a Sunday night. My daughter received the messages, and then within an hour, hour and a half, I communicated with this person. Um,
Now
I,
I
I,
showed those, excuse me, I showed those yesterday, right? Those were the
yeah,
ones, who are you? Call 911. Do you know you just contributed to
yes,
kidnapping?
yes.
Okay. And I can show those at the end, friends, when Mindy's done talking, if you weren't here yesterday, if you want me to. We do have a goal going today in the chat. If you're interested for Q&A afterwards, go ahead. I'm sorry, Mindy. So you
Okay.
immediately contacted Dog's team.
Yes, I did. After, 16 months, nothing's been done. I mean, like, I'm kind of at the point was why is nothing, why has this child not been found? Like, and I can't help but to not trust that I don't live there, but I don't trust them. And so my initial thought was I wanted, you know, the team to have it for the FBI, TBI, but I wanted Seth to know, because to me it was important. And if it was my child, I would want to know.
And yes,
And
that's where I came in, is I reached
exactly.
out to Tony and gave that to Seth. And then I, with my due diligence, made sure I personally sent them to every agency. And one thing I'm sorry to interrupt you. One thing, there's a couple of questions going in. So you're not prevalent on Facebook, social media, or on YouTube, really,
I mean,
other
no,
than
I
a
don't, I'm not a
flyer,
creator.
other than a
Right,
flyer, pretty
right,
much. Okay, on
right,
your social media. Was your
right. And
daughter active in the Sebastian Rogers case? That's a great question. Was she posting and active about Sebastian's case?
nowhere near as active as she didn't post. She might have posted his flyer maybe once, maybe
Mhm.
even twice, but no, nothing like I had.
So you had just been posting a flyer once a week or something.
Right, yes, and if there were updates, and the updated flyers, and yes, that's it.
Okay, but you weren't in YouTube commenting all the time and
No,
all that. So it
no,
would have been through Facebook, which makes sense then why he contacted you through Facebook.
yes, yeah, and I'm not in any Facebook groups about Sebastian. I'm not in any groups, you know what I mean, about Sebastian. I'm just a mom who wants to help somehow. And when this happened, like I said, my mind was blown, and all I could think was it's been 16 months. It doesn't matter if it's real or not. This is this is insane, and it has to get to the right people. And so that was, my thought process.
Mhm. And how did they, and it is confusing, you all, and Mindy herself was confused. And so imagine receiving that and not understanding how the person made contact with you. How did this person know your daughter was your daughter?
Well, on my Facebook, she is listed as my daughter. And but
Okay.
like I said, I think, like, my Facebook is pretty private
Mhm.
as far as, like, who can see posts and stuff like that. But when I post Sebastian's flyer, it's always public. So
Okay.
that's how this person could have seen my name, because of course I want it to be public, because I want everybody to know that he's missing, because I want him to be found, So
Absolutely. Mhm.
that would be from, I mean, undoubtedly he, saw that I posted, the flyer, the reward, and continuously. And because the person couldn't actually message me, because you have to ask my permission. You see what I'm saying? Like, I have that block on
Oh, I
Facebook.
got it. Okay.
Yeah, so that's why he undoubtedly reached out to my daughter to try to get in touch with me.
Got it. Now it makes sense. Everyone coming in, thank you so much for being here. See lots of friends coming into the chat. Thank you so much. Meet Mindy. She is the one who received the ransom demand. Shockingly enough, never expecting that. And then boom, right? So,
Yeah, I mean, it was just out of the blue, and I had not actually. I went back and looked, and I think it had been about 2 weeks maybe since I posted anything about Sebastian on Facebook. So it was just all weird. But then it gets even weirder. because after my, communicating a little bit on that evening with this person and telling them 911, take a picture, you're going to be in trouble if if you're, aiding and abetting, like, that kind of thing. The
We'll
person
call it the
ignores
big
me.
T. By the way, we'll call it the big T tonight if we have to refer to that.
Yes. Okay. So then the person, like I said, I submitted the tip or whatever, but the crazy part happened the next day, which was the 23rd, a Monday morning. And when I woke up, of course, it's the first thing on my mind. And I immediately went to my Facebook Messenger. And when I opened it, is when I saw the big, long, this person telling me supposedly who he was, how this happened, including the cryptocurrency wallet. I mean, right there. And at that point, I'm like, okay, like something is not right. Like this, and it almost to me seemed like it was the person might have had like broken English, like maybe a foreigner, because of the way the messages were coming in. And that was like alarming, in itself. And yeah, that's the part that really, really scared me. And of course, sent that straight over to the tip line. I was in, had communications with them, and I never responded to the person again, never responded. However, I did watch my messenger, and if you see, like when someone's online, it'll show green. And it was almost like he was waiting on my response. He was going offline, you know, 30 minutes, coming right back on, offline. And I never responded. I sent it, at night. And from that point is when at night took over. And boy, did they take over. And they were amazing.
Sorry, I was muted. I said I
Figured,
100 agree with you. I mean, what would we have done without them? They
right.
were amazing. They made us feel comfortable. They were in charge. They were taking, handling it for us. It was because, we didn't know
No,
that we didn't know that Sebastian wasn't being moved to a hotel in Cancun. By the way, I made a correction. It's not Cabo. I made an error on my video. Ooh. So I made an error on my video. It's Cancun. So the first
yeah.
thing that you received, would you like to read it to us? I have it up for you. I can
Okay.
pull it up. Why don't we
Okay.
go through the order, and then or do you want to read the contacting of dog and them first?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we can start there. Right
Okay,
there.
why don't you start there? There's your first
Yeah.
message.
Yep. So that one, that was June 22nd. It tells you the time right there. I reached out to Sebastian at manhunts.one, and I said, please look into this person, as they say they know where Sebastian is. I'm attaching screenshots that were sent to me. And, below you can see some of the
Here it is.
screenshots that I
Here they
sent.
are, you all, right here. Okay,
Yep.
go ahead. And that's what you sent. So that was before you contacted me, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Then the next time you contacted, here is your next contact, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Would you like to
Yeah.
explain that?
This one was the same night. Maybe I think it's like maybe 10 minutes later. Um, and I said, was sent message. I sent this one to most wanted at manhunts.one. And I said, I was sent messages
Okay.
from someone. Oh, sorry.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. This one was to Sebastian M. Hunts.one, the same.
Okay.
And then this one, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
Most
interrupt.
wanted. Yes.
Explain. And
Yes.
this one's most wanted. Okay.
Yes, most wanted at manhunts.one.
Okay.
And I said, was sent messages from someone claiming to know where Sebastian is, screenshots attached. Please text if you need more info. And of course, you can see the screenshots there.
And this was before he asked for ransom.
Yes,
Gotcha. Right. This is before he
yes,
said he would move him to a hotel or anything like that. He just said he knew where he was.
yes. This was the Sunday night when my daughter, when he contacted my daughter told me. I messaged, then then he started, somewhat messaging back. And that's what was, all on the 22nd that evening. And that's what I sent in.
Okay. I'm so glad that, sometimes we would think, maybe not look at something like that, right? Or not open it. But
Right.
okay, so
Well,
that was June 22nd, 9:38, your second contact out to Doggin at night, right?
yep.
And then to me, 8 minutes later at 9:46. So I was
Yes.
your third contact. Well, you're
Right.
twice to at night and dog, and then you reached out to me.
Yes. Like I
8 minutes
said, I
later.
was I was thinking I was really wanting to make sure that Seth got this information.
That was
And
very nice. Yes, because and that was yes, I do recall you saying that because you wanted to see if I could, and I forwarded it right to Tony to give to Seth.
right.
Mhm.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
thank you.
So yeah, no, oh, no problem. Well, and I just, like I said, I just can't. If it was my child, I would hope someone would contact me, and especially knowing that, the trouble that Seth has went through, and how he feels, and you know they're in communications, they're not in communications, there's no press conference, there's nothing, you know what I mean? And I
Mhm.
know he's followed up on leads. Like I said, I've been in the bushes, seeing a lot, and I know he's been following up on leads, and I know he would want to know this information.
Yes, and so immediately, so this was 8 minutes. She reported the tip. 8 minutes later, reached out to me, and I was messaging Tony.
Yes.
And so that got to Seth immediately. And Seth's first words were, "Get it to Sumner County right away."
Yes.
So that's what
Yes.
he told me to do. I have to be completely transparent. I was very nervous about doing so. I said, "No, I don't want to," because I was just afraid I didn't have confidence. Let me put it that way. But
Same.
Seth's,
Same.
it's Seth's child. Seth's the boss of the team. Everyone, he's had a whole team there. And so when I'm calling in something, I'm there for Seth and Sebastian. And Seth said, call it in. And send it in. So I ended up sending it to everyone. And that's
Right.
what I meant when I said I submitted it everywhere as soon as I got it, because I submitted it everywhere, but Mindy had submitted it to Doggin at Night.
Yes, that's correct.
Do you want to read this message to me?
Yeah, sure. So this was the 22nd at like 10 minutes or 8 minutes, whatever later,
Yeah.
9:46. And I said, hey, I just got some Facebook messages from someone claiming they know where Sebastian is. I sent the tip to Dog and I wanted someone else to see them. Please send wherever else you can, because this is strange. This person messaged my daughter to get me because my Facebook is private. Screenshots attached.
Mhm. And I miraculously had checked my email minutes later as it came in, and I responded because sometimes it takes me a while, doesn't it? My chat and everyone in the chat, but miraculously, I guess someone led me to check that email because I think I got back to you within 10 minutes, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then she showed me everything, and I sent it on over to everyone. And
Yes.
then we began to communicate.
Yeah, right.
Mhm. Which was, quite the journey. Not the
Oh
ending
yeah.
we wanted, but, quite
No.
the journey. Now, Mindy, are you comfortable sharing with the group what you did receive from this guy, these messages?
Absolutely.
Okay, I think I have crossed out the crypto account and stuff. Yes, I did. I made sure the cryptos and stuff were out.
Okay.
Okay.
So this is from the next morning, which would have been Monday the 23rd, when I got up at 10:15 a.m. This is the first thing that I saw. And he says, my name is Brian, and the photo I use isn't mine. So we know each other because everyone involved in human trafficking uses these photos of men, which was kind of a weird statement. One thing about HT, oh, sorry, I meant to say that before, but
I
one
do
thing
it all
about
the time. Thank you.
one thing about HTing is that we can't expose our work because we've all taken a blood oath. Again, a very scary statement to me. And,
Mhm.
you wake up and read this and, your heart drops. By reporting them to 911, I will die immediately. I said I was the driver who transported him there. I spoke with these people. They told me I would have to give $30,000
Excuse me.
before they would force me to transport him. And as you can read, it does feel kind of broken. You know what I mean? Like the way this person is communicating. They
Mhm.
know about the reward and said they'll take 40% of it. I could have asked them for proof to send to his family, but that won't be possible because of the blood oath. They said, I think you'll have to go down or the
Oh, okay.
next.
One thing I wanted to tell you for a second is I looked up blood oath, and
Mhm.
it says that it's a term used within HT networks as a powerful tool of coercion and control, primarily in some Nigerian trafficking networks.
That everything this person says in this message immediately to me is HD, HD. I mean, like it's all making sense.
Oh,
That's why I
yes.
was so like, I mean, I was shaking. I mean, it was
Crypto
just,
accounts, everything.
oh my gosh, yes. So,
Because I
um,
Googled that too, and I and said, do HTs use crypto? And it said yes,
mhm,
and Tether account. I mean, it went into those details.
yes, I have,
Makes it so real, right? Thank you,
exactly.
Peggy and Jen. Thank you, Peggy and Jen.
And I
So,
have done a lot. I have done some research on HT, and mainly because I do have, a 16-year-old son with high functioning autism who loves his phone, loves his games, loves, that kind of online. And it's scary. It's scary.
mhm.
This stuff is real. It is real. I know that it's real. And so when this was sent to me, that's why it was just so alarming after 16 months of nothing. You know what I mean? Like it was just, it was crazy. So let's see where, so 30,000 before releasing him. And they told me I wasn't sure I would get the reward money because we are all involved in crime and HT. What I'm going to do is once I'm released, I'm going to take him to a hotel in Cancun, Mexico, and I'm going to pay for him for a week, buy him clothes and other things, and then you're going to come there and pick him up. Now, after I read this, of course, in the back of my mind as well, I'm like, is this real? Could this be real? Like, what? What is, me? What? Like, and I'm like,
Mm.
why me? So that was really scary, and all I kept thinking was what if this is real? Like what if we don't have time, there's no time, you know what I mean? Like it's a Sebastian's life and it matters, and you know what I mean. I just felt like it was very important, and it's just sad at what transpired. But anyways, I'll continue.
No, I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. It was scary, but it seemed very urgent.
Very, I mean, like extremely, in my mind, extremely urgent. I mean,
Absolutely.
just a person getting this kind of, and it wasn't just a one message, a two message. It was a reached out to my daughter to get to me, then messaged me, and you know what I mean? And then all these things, with this, what I'm about to read here. So it says, please help me contact his family. I'm serious. Stop looking for him in the United States. You won't find him there. I did my best to bring. Now, as you see, there's a break here. So all these first set of messages were sent at 10:15 a.m. And then there was nothing until 11 a.m. And he said, I did my best to bring him back, and the financial reward will help me a lot because it is important. I will put him up in a hotel. Then I will send you the name of the, guys, next next photo.
Coming. Well, hold on one second. Okay,
Okay.
gotcha. Go ahead.
And now what's marked out is a bunch of letters and a bunch of numbers. And I was kind of like, huh? And I didn't think anything about it at first. And I'm like, what could that be? And why? Again, I'm like, is this all a prank? Is this a joke? Like, what's going on? But the more I looked at it and the more I read, it kind of clicked. And he says, we are in a legal business, so we receive all our money in tether. When that word was mentioned, then it dawned on me. And then he says, this is the account they sent me to pay the 30,000. If I get him out before I pay for him at the hotel, I'll get my 20,000. Before you send me the money, I'll call you so you can hear his voice. I tried to explain things to you clearly. I'm just a driver. I work hard to take care of my family and my younger siblings. And that was the last thing that was said, the last communications that I had. I never responded. But after reading all of that and the way that it happened to me, this was urgent. This was life or death. It doesn't matter if it's real or not. You've got to follow this tip. You have to. Sebastian's life matters, and Sebastian deserves better.
Absolutely, I fully agree. And here's an email that um she was forwarded to you, or you forwarded, right? On the
Let me.
24th. Now, mind you, at this point, well, I'll let you finish. Go ahead and read your email, but I do want to point out to the audience that he was going offline and online, right?
Yes.
Like he'd go off for a while and then go on
Yeah.
for a while, like he was checking.
Yes, exactly. And I had also uh text the tip line all this information, and they had asked back of me, was I any Facebook groups, had that kind of thing. And that, so in this message, this is to the national tip line. um what is it here? Let's see, most wanted at manhunts.one. And I said, um that well, I told them in the text I wasn't in any type of Facebook groups. I am in the at night Sebastian Rogers case on Twitter X. I still call it Twitter, but
Mhm.
that's it. And I've been following the case since day one, and I've watched all this stuff on YouTube, but I rarely even comment. I've never spoke to any creators online. I've emailed with Jay, and I did email with Silvers back in December, but that's about it. That's why this was just so strange to me. I hope and pray he's found soon. And they were responding to me immediately.
Mhm. They have a very good response time.
Yes, they do. And oh, at the bottom here, you see it must not be in order, but I tell them I'm not in any groups, nor do I post on Facebook. I only post Sebastian's flyer, so that is why this is even more strange.
Very,
So
it is
the
strange.
communication with the tip line was absolutely amazing. I mean, I after 16 months, and like I said, I've seen it all on
Mhm.
YouTube. You don't know what to believe, who to believe. You go through all that in your mind, but when it's something this serious, it's like it doesn't matter. Like I have to send it to the tip line, and I want to make sure that this gets to Seth. That was the most important thing.
Yes, I agree. And, it's hard. We're not investigators and we're not detectives and we're not experts. So when something comes to you or me or any of you in the chat, or we do need to get it to them because they are the ones who put the professional eyes on it. We don't know what to disregard, and we could, what if we disregarded, like they say, this could be no tip small or silly because it could be something that was important.
Exactly. And my daughter, when this all started, the first thing my daughter said was, "Mom, this is a fake account." And I'm like, "Well, it might be a fake account, but that don't mean that this tip isn't real." Like we have.
Mhm.
And then once she saw the crypto, then she was like, "Wow, wow, maybe you just never know." And bottom line, it's been 16 months. I know I keep saying that, but
Mhm.
if you see something, say something. And I feel like that's exactly what I did. And I'm heartbroken that it didn't lead to anything, but I'm even more heartbroken that now I'm wondering how many tips like this or that could have found Sebastian haven't been followed
I hope
and
not,
haven't, like,
but I'm just worried too. I
I
am
mean, you can't
worried.
help but
It was
worry.
what would we have done? I mean, I keep saying that, but it's true. If we had been, heard this and Seth had not formed a team with that night, One World, all that, what would we have done
Right.
with getting no response? I don't even, would we have just called 911? I mean, what do you do?
Yeah, exactly.
Have 911 operator call? I mean, the sheriff or the other officers or start, I don't know. Thank goodness. All I can saying is thank goodness that wasn't what our task was at that point.
Right. And I've never called in a tip before, never with anything ever in my life. But I have heard of, I mean, I can probably think off the top of my head of about 10 people that I have seen or heard on YouTube, talk about they've submitted a tip and nothing was done, nothing was said, they never got a response. It's happened over and over. So, you know, why would I wanted, this was important, this was urgent, and I wanted it to get to the right people. And that's why At Night was the first, first people that I sent it to. And then, of course, the reason I sent it to you is because I do respect you, and I knew that it would get to Seth, because I feel like that, you have the same heart. Like, you just want Sebastian found. You're not about the drama. It's not about all this. It's about finding Sebastian, the facts, the truth. And that's what it needs to be about, and that's what it needs to stay about. And so that's why that I reached out to you. I didn't know if I was going to get a response from the tip line. I didn't know, so I wanted to make sure that someone else had it so they could get it to the right people, because it was that important in my mind.
Yeah, I agree. And it's absolutely, there's a lot of you have questions, but we're going to just keep going for right now. There was something you just said that I wanted to ask you a question about. Well, yeah, because it's not something that, what if you hadn't have called that in, would it be on your mind right now?
Yes.
Would it be nagging at you a little bit,
Yes.
worrying you?
Yes.
But now well, and you have,
And I did go through all those feelings. I
we
was
all went through
worried, and yes, I was scared. I was worried. I was hopeful. My heart, it was just, yes. And from what, like, everything, the way the tip was handled from At Night, I can't speak enough about it. Just the professionalism. Um, to this day, I have not received any communication from anyone other than At Night about this tip. And
at this
that right
point.
there really bothers me. It really bothers me, because I don't care when a kid's been missing for this long and someone gets something like this. It doesn't matter. You have to just follow it. If it's not real, okay, it's not it's not real, but you have to find that out. You have to find that out. And it's just so disappointing.
Well, and yes, and I will share with the chat, if you weren't here last night to hear, um, they ended up having, after I think it was a couple of days, having to force the issue of getting a response. They had not gotten a response from Sumner, TBI. I think their press release says National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, or the FBI, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So,
And I was receiving updates from them. I was CC'd in these emails because I was the person who submitted the tip. So
mhm.
I seen how it was, how it was laid out, and it's just crazy to me.
Well, I have to be honest with you. When I found out that, that they had responded and there was a response, I was stunned because of how many days had gone by. I hadn't even thought that they hadn't been in touch. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And so I was very surprised. And that was a couple of days. And that's when I thought, what in the world, because, well, I knew they hadn't, I take that back. I knew they hadn't responded to me until I said something and said, I just really need to know. But they don't need to respond to me. You know what I mean? I mean,
Right.
yes, it's nice to say received, thank you. So we know that it got there, but they don't owe us that. But when people are putting people on airplanes looking for this guy,
Exactly. Well,
and they're loading the reward money up and ready to go, and they were trying to let them know we've got the money, we're ready to go. That when I was stunned, that was
yes.
shocking to me. I did not know that at first. I really didn't realize it had got. I knew they hadn't said anything to me, but I just assumed, to be
Right.
honest.
Well, my thinking is like, I mean, why would you not when there's in my mind, like, wouldn't they want the whole like story, like what I'm telling here, like, why would they not call the person or reach out and say, hey, what happened, how, you know what I mean, like, talk to me, like, no, they don't owe me anything, like, I don't want to know their investigation strategy or like, this is serious, this is a child who's been missing, and someone gets this kind of information, like, why would you not call or want to at least, follow up with them and say, hey, what date, this, that. No one has done that other than at night, no one.
Yeah, that's very sad. It really is. I don't understand it either. I don't. And I just don't have an explanation. I'm speechless over it, like I was last night.
Yep.
So um yeah, I'm absolutely speechless. They were using the reward money for the ransom. It wasn't that these people were going to, we had a ransom demand, so they were going to use their money for the ransom. Absolutely. They were ready to go. So and in light of that, most of you've heard, you know, that at night and One World has put out a request, a press release, and they are sending it to Cash Patel and many other powers that be, to request federal intervention, because what happened apparently is when it went across straight state lines, the big T international lines like that, it became federal kidnapping, and that was an alleged federal. We thought we were in the midst of a federal kidnapping, which requires FBI involvement. So Mindy has no connection to Sebastian whatsoever. Okay,
None.
those of you coming in, Mindy has a private Facebook. However, periodically she puts up Sebastian's flyer and his updates. Those are public, but the rest of everything she has is private. So he somehow looked on her page and found her daughter's name because he couldn't get a hold of Mindy because Mindy's is all private. He reached out to Mindy's daughter and said, I need to talk to Mindy. Mindy's daughter said, well, call 911. You're in trouble. You just TR a big T to child. And then she connected him to Mindy. And then the rest is what Mindy's telling you. It was just very surreal and very sad. You know what I think about, everyone? And we're going to get to your question in a second. Let me know, Moz. You know what I think about is, you know how that felt for those several days,
Yes.
almost a week, right? Um,
Yes.
think about that times a bazillion every day for the last almost 17 months,
I can't.
and that is Seth's world.
I know.
It just breaks my heart, and it does choke me up, and it is hard to talk about. And it's just, so I don't know. I know they're asking for, federal resources, they're asking that the FBI lead the investigation. And if that's not the case, run their own parallel investigation at the very least. They want all the evidence digital turned over. There was a treehouse tip that also wasn't followed through, apparently, where it was a tent, domestic items, boxed water. Looks like someone had been living out there, and it was sent in and never not responded or reacted to. But at night in them, tracked some of the items to see where they came from, what area, compared that to missing children, and also sent it in to law enforcement that had not responded. And the reason that was so important was there was forensic evidence on it of an email. So at night, tracked the email and sent it to him, but has not heard if they where that went from there. So they are requesting for Summer Wells' case and Sebastian that federal intervention be brought in. The FBI. He didn't know Mindy. He saw Mindy's flyers most likely on Facebook periodically. She was updating for Sebastian flyers, updates. She had a private account. So you know how you can see their friends and stuff still sometimes when it's private. Well, saw her daughter, connected and said, "Can you get me in touch with Mindy? I know where Sebastian is." She said, "Well, then call 911, take a picture, call 911. You know this is illegal." And then Mindy and this person connected. And then very quickly at night, and this person connected, whoever was representing at night at that point, and this person connected.
Yes.
That
Yes.
was,
And I
it was
was,
been real for Seth.
I can't imagine. I mean, I know how I felt. It,
Hmm.
it just breaks me. It breaks my heart to know that, it's been 16 months and uh, every day he feels like that. Every day, every time there is, any kind of hope, and I know he has hope, and I know all he wants is his son home. He don't care about anything else. I've never met the man. I've never spoke to the man, but I can see it. Like, I mean, in my opinion, um, he just wants his son home. And, I feel like everything happens for a reason. I mean, why did this person choose me? I don't know. I kind of feel like he saw that I was an avid supporter, putting up the reward for Sebastian in the flyer. And maybe that's why, but I I couldn't ignore it. There's no possible way I could have ignored this. There's no way.
No, absolutely. Or myself. And I would
Right.
have, sometimes I don't get to my email right away. So it was actually a miracle I did. And I can't imagine myself if I had just tuned into my email right now and was looking at it a week later.
Right.
I'm so glad that I looked at it. We got it out there to everyone, and well, especially to Seth. And I hate the ending, but the one thing good that came about it is the one good thing that came about it is now there's ability to take action for inaction,
Exactly.
because that was serious. That was serious and scary. Okay,
Yes.
I'm going to start looking through your questions, my friends. Okay, because we're ahead a little bit of, there was one question I wanted to ask you before we get started is he was going to pick up Sebastian after he received the first 30,000, correct?
From
Then
from
they
my
would then they would release Sebastian to him.
from my understanding and the way, like I said, the way that it was all worded
Yeah, it was
was kind of
confusing.
broken.
Mhm.
Yeah, but in my mind, yeah, that's exactly what it was saying.
Okay. And so then was claiming that he would get him after that first 30,000, and they'd release him, and he would drive Sebastian to a hotel in Cancun, Mexico. He would
Yes.
pay for a week's accommodations and food, and he would buy him a week's worth of clothing. And apparently there was going to be a witness that he would have to prove it to a witness at the hotel, right? Something like that. And then he said he say he would call you?
Um. Yeah. Well, he had said.
I have
He
those. Do you
said
want me to pull those
He
up?
would call. Let's see. He says. He would call or let
He'd
me hear
call
his
his voice.
voice. Oh,
Right.
before you send me the money, I'll call you so you can hear his voice.
Right.
That's what he said.
Yes. And then eventually he asked for he eventually, do you know what he asked for eventually?
Um. Wait. Let's see. Yes, I do believe he asked. See if I
For a
can
secret
find it.
question. He asked for a
Yes, the
secret
secret
question.
question. Yes.
he said something in your communication about a secret question, and he was looking for a secret question that only Sebastian knew the answer to. So they did get one from Seth, and no one else knew the answer, just Seth and Sebastian. But at that point, but at night, yes, they sent him a secret question. Yes. Kaz, they are still on his trail. I will tell you that. They had put Kaz's question, for those of you in the bushes or on replay or listening rather than looking. The question is, are they 100% sure that this was indeed a hoax? They said it turned out to be, but they went to 2 different countries. At night sent people in 2 different countries, and they did not make contact with him, so it did turn out to be, but they were ready in case it was not, and they are, I believe, still tracking him, unless they found him. I haven't asked today or yesterday, to be honest. My focus has been so much on Sebastian and all this. So, is that right? Do you agree with that answer, Mindy?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I'm not speaking for both of us. Let's go up to I'm going to take us to the top, because they may have it looks like they have some very good questions. Thank you all. Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for your hellos. Maria, welcome in. Welcome to the family, and the reunions are on Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern. Let's see here. Sorry, I think I went back too far before you got on. Lots of people in the house. Oh, thank you, Tam, here. We're happy to have you in here. Thank you. I couldn't be more proud of Mindy, because, we always say, if you see something, say something. If you hear something, say something, but you actually did it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Crystal, we were sad it was a hoax too. But
Yeah.
we were envisioning him coming home to his daddy. You are very welcome, Shirley. My pleasure. Okay, let's see. I'm sorry, I went too far back into the hellos. Let me keep going. Oh, let's see. Shirley said, I can't even think how Seth felt about this. I pray he is okay. Cece,
Same.
yeah, me too. Cece said, I want to know how it was determined that it was a hoax. We'll have to, they went to 2 countries, they investigated him, they tracked him, they were communicating with him via email, running, digital forensics and stuff like that.
Yes, they were doing, I know for a fact they got the URL to my Facebook and my daughter's Facebook, which we gave them, for law enforcement use, no problem. I know that they were tracking his URL through, because I sent the URL to them and they were tracking that through his Facebook. They were also trying to track the cryptocurrency wallet. Yeah, so they were on it.
They were amazing. I was
Yeah.
really, really impressed. And I've said
Yes.
yesterday, and I'll say it again, if I ever had a missing family member or a friend with a missing family member, I know they're very expensive, but that's who I'd want on my team.
I 100% agree.
And remember the Motel 6 sighting? Man,
Yes.
they were on that hotel.
Yep.
All over that hotel.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's what I would want too,
Yes, after this experience, and just, which they don't have to tell me everything, and they didn't, include me in every single bit of their details with this tip and investigating it, but they did CC me in a lot of the communications. And when I would receive these, my heart would be like, oh my gosh, what do you mean? What do you mean there's money being transferred? Like, oh my God, and the way that they took it so seriously and literally laid it all out, like step by step, everything, how it went down, what needed to be done, what communications were made, on what time, on what day. I mean, all of that was like you know, perfectly presented into all law enforcement agencies that are involved. And the response was absolutely heartbreaking.
Yes, I agree.
The lack of response was absolutely heartbreaking, should I say.
I know. And you know what? It isn't whether they care or don't care. I think I agree with that night. I think they steered my thinking in the right way. It's not that they care or don't care, it's that they're not responding or acting for some reason. I mean, I don't know what it is.
Jealousy?
I don't know.
I mean, that's just the one thing
I
that
could
popped
sit
up
here
in
and
my mind.
speculate. I could sit here and speculate. Now, one thing they did ask is that the federal people came in because there may be relationships or other things that are affecting the investigation. That
Right.
was mentioned in there.
Hmm.
So they have also asked them to turn over everything. They want them to turn over everything to the FBI. And you know what? All that matters is right now we locate Sebastian.
Yes.
I can guarantee, these lawsuits that they've mentioned, and we know Seth probably has many with probably CPS. I'm guessing, I'm not a professional. Um, they're probably all going to wait. Seth will probably wait till he locates his son because that's his priority.
Yes. That's all. I mean, that's all he wants, like his son home. And
Well, he's got the right team because they
yeah.
they they went right into action. One thing I also wanted to say is I've had a lot of people ask me, did anyone did law enforcement reach out to Katie? They don't have to reach out to Chris. To Katie because she's the mom. Okay? And I
Mhm.
don't know the answer to that. I don't know. I heard Jen Coffindeffer say they should be transparent with KP and CP too, as long as they are not considered someone they are considering possibly. I don't know. Suspicious. I don't know, but in this circumstance, I would think I don't know. I don't know that they were contacted. We haven't heard anything. Have any of you heard them respond to this? Thank you, Peggy. Has anyone in the chat heard them respond to this? Hi, Zipper. Because it's darn scary, you guys. It is creepy how he got her name. It's just kind of like when you get a weird DM, where are they getting your name from, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, they've all taken a blood oath. That's scary. I want to look more into that. I know it says it's with the big HT and especially in Nigeria, but I want to hear, like, what does that mean? Are they Well, I'm going to Google it right now. Can I ask you a question? Is there anything that like, tell me when you first saw it. When you first saw that message, what did that do to you? Like, what was your emotion? Thank goodness, or oh my Lord, I had a bazillion. That's why I'm asking you that.
Well, I had a million too, but I
Mhm,
would say my first thought was, oh my God, could this be real? Like
mhm.
that, could this find Sebastian? Is this real? And like I said, like it was excitement. I was scared. I
Mhm.
mean, it was so many emotions, but I just knew that it was urgent and I knew that it was important. And then especially, that it didn't matter. There was, the first night of messages wasn't a ransom. It was just, I know where he's at and blah, blah, blah.
Oh,
And,
that's right. Yeah.
that was the evening of Sunday. And
Mhm.
yeah, I went to, I sent it over, all that over, and I went to bed like just thinking about this. I don't think I really hardly slept. And so when I woke up, of course it was the first thing on my mind, and I immediately checked my phone, and it was just like, the more I read, the more I was like, this real? Why would somebody send this? Why? And the crazy thing is, the last thing that I said to this person, let me go to it so I'm exact with what
Yeah.
I'm reading here. The last thing communication that I said was, it don't matter. He's been missing for 16 months. Where is he? Please call 911. Who are you? And how do you know this? I hope you realize you will be facing charges if you knew anything about his disappearance. And then he responds, main thing here is to bring him back. And, I'm like, well, yeah. And then he says, I know where they hide him.
Yeah,
And
why don't
then
yeah, keep reading. That's cool. Yeah, read that
and
for
I,
them.
yes. So it started. So when I first started communicating with him that Sunday evening after my daughter had sent him over. Well, let's just actually, I'll go and read hers first. So it, because she did say some interesting things to him that you in your mind you would think would scare, like kind of make someone hesitant. So if this wasn't real, like why would they continue? You know what I mean? When you say something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Let me pull it up.
Exactly.
Okay, so he reached out to my daughter at 7:19 and said, "Please help me tell Mindy that I know where Sebastian is. I tried to add her and message, but it's not going." Which means because my Facebook is private and you can't message me unless I know who you are and I accept it. Okay, so that's why that was said. And then he sends my daughter his Facebook profile, his URL, and said, send her this link to message me. And my daughter says, how do you know where Sebastian is? And then he responds, I was the driver man that carried him with Boss Nike, whatever. And again, broken English, weird, but driver rang a bell. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's saying, it was kind of saying the right things. And my daughter says, driver man, what do you mean? You helped kidnap a child? I mean, that was what
She's
she
good. That
said
was
to
a
him.
great comment.
And then she told him that I messaged him and she said, take a picture of him and call 911 immediately. And then he responded, he is far from me. They took him to Mexico. I am coming, please. And that was it, the last communications with my daughter. And then I messaged him at 8:59 p.m. on June the 22nd, and I said, hey, where is Sebastian? If you know where he is, please take a picture and call 911. Hello? Because he was like going off online and coming back on. And then he said yes. And once he said yes, then it made it where we could message and call each other. So I'm assuming that's the way he was going to call me, was through Facebook Messenger.
In order
Um,
for you to hear his voice.
right, right. And but no, that at this point, none of that had been said yet.
Okay.
And I said, where is he? Call 911 now. And in all caps, he says to me, calm down. Let me explain to you. Again, he's kind of saying like the right thing, you know what I mean? And so I'm like, explain what? Please call the police. And then he asked me, please, who are you to him? And I respond, it don't matter. He's been missing for 16 months. Where is he? Please call 911. Who are you? How do you know this? I hope you realize you'll be facing charges if you knew anything about his disappearance. And um, then he said, main thing here is to bring him back. I know where they hide him. And then I
It
said,
was
where?
scary. Yeah.
Yes. And I said, where? Why not report it? And that's when he went offline and was offline. And immediately in between these messages, because these are like 9:45, at like 9:26, 9:36 p.m., I'm already emailing the tip lines, calling, texting the tip line and all that. So when the next morning when I woke up is when the long message, June the 23rd at 10:15 a.m., and he starts telling his name and the photo isn't mine, and he's like explaining this. I mean, imagine, like, does it not I mean, after so long and like the situation, does it not seem like this could be real? Like maybe, but maybe
Absolutely.
not. So there's no way I would have not reported it. I don't care. I'm not perfect. I reported it to the authorities first, the ones that I felt would respond, and I wanted to make sure it got to the father, Seth Rogers, of Sebastian, because I would want to know if it was my child, and that's how we got here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you know what? you did everything right. You sent it where you felt comfortable. You reached out to me to make sure the father had it, and the father immediately said send it into Sumner County, and Dog's team had already sent it to everyone. By the way, by the time I
Yes.
even got to send it to everyone, because you had
Yes.
already contacted them. So remember, they had all already sent that on. So we all sent it.
Yeah, yeah, it,
But
it was it was sent,
yes,
and
it
the
was
fact
sent.
that there was no response, no response, no response, and
But
then
what if we hadn't sent it, right? Or
exactly,
what if you had just ignored it, or your daughter had ignored it? So I
yeah,
really appreciate that, because we just don't know. We're not professionals. We don't know. We're not trained. Someone had said our FBI would be in Cancun checking hotels and finding him if this ransom guy really took him there. Yes, they would. And interestingly
yeah,
enough, at night, they had someone they had two people going to different countries. I'm assuming Cancun, and I'm assuming the country of origin where they tracked the guy. But that is an assumption. But they said in the update that they had didn't they say that?
yes,
They went to two. Oh, whew. I was like,
yeah,
it is in the
yeah,
update, right?
yeah. I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah,
Yeah, that they sent it's like
Hong Kong.
two different countries.
Hmm.
They put people on planes to two different countries. So I'm assuming somewhere where they tracked him, and also people in Cancun. Just, you got to put boots on the ground there.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's craziness. But let's go
And
through
I
that. Oh, go
and the
ahead.
only I just wanted to say I like I just want Sebastian to be found. I want Sebastian to come home. I want Sebastian to be with his father. I just want this to all be over. Like that's all I want. I don't care about anything else. And that's the only reason that I'm here speaking up now is because I did receive this tip. I have proof that I received this tip, and the fact that it wasn't handled by the people that needed to handle it is the reason that I'm here, because something needs to change and Sebastian needs to be brought home. He needs to be found wherever he is.
I agree. I'm heartbroken. I mean, I'm heartbroken. I'm delighted that it's going to bring awareness and fresh eyes on it.
Yes.
But I'm saddened that it's come to this.
Yeah, me too.
I'm worried, as time has passed, what's been missed, but I
Oh,
guess we're just going to have to move forward. But there's a good love, not a fighter, lover, not a fighter. You asked a question. You said, I think we've answered it. So will you put a 1 in the chat if you heard the answer, and a 2 if you still need us to answer that? How they knew her daughter? It was because Mindy was posting flyers publicly on her Facebook page, but everything else was private. So he couldn't contact Mindy. So he must have gotten her daughter's name off of her page and contacted daughter and said, can you get a hold of Mindy? Tell her I know where Sebastian is. Give her this link.
now that I think about it, when I post the flyers on my Facebook, which is pretty much all I post, I post in public. I guarantee you my daughter liked it. Like the
Oh,
flyer.
yeah.
So they could have, that's how, and again, my Facebook is private. No one can message me unless I, accept it. I have it, locked down for reasons like, sort of like this, and people are crazy, but so that has to be how he, that's why he contacted her, because he could not get, a message to me.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So giving out the reward, this is a good statement,
Oh
because
yeah.
they weren't giving out the reward
Mm-mm.
money. They were using the reward money as a ransom to save Sebastian's life and bring him home.
Right,
So
exactly.
that's another thing that they brought up in their press release last night, is the lack of response. What if they had funded that money to this predator, this man who was preying on Sebastian's name to get money? So that's another thing. But it was just a mess, and no matter what, everyone needs to follow every lead. and especially those who are in the jurisdiction, because remember, they could have called in the FBI to help with the investigation or to lead it long ago, and have been asked by the father many times, and then also the U.S. Marshals what the father has asked, and they have not done that. But I'm confused, and I'm not criticizing. I'm curious. I'm befuddled. I'm shocked. Why wouldn't you call them in if you know you're not answering to a couple of things here and there? Not you're maybe not all of them, but there's leads you're not following. Allegedly, Bristol, Oregon. This wasn't a response. So I don't understand it. Why not call them in? And for the one detective, if this is his only job every day, certainly would be able to call that in,
Yeah.
make a phone call.
And again, I wonder why has that detective not contacted me? Like, I can't. That part just blows my mind. Like, I mean, don't they want all the information from the source? You know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't want, you see what I'm saying? Like, why would they not?
Absolutely.
It's urgent.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wrap my mind around that. I just can't.
Can't either. It's his life, and that's just shocking. But I think that led to the question in the press release saying, we have some questions we need answers to. Number one, is he alive? And I think that they want that answer, because tell us, did you not react because knows, is he, you have a different theory, something that he's
Right.
not with us? Is that why you didn't react? And maybe that'll help get answers, and maybe that's not the answer, that is why they didn't react. I don't know. All I know is every single individual needs to react when they see a child being abused, missing, anything like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, and Karen says, when I've called in on tips elsewhere, I've spoken to a real live human being immediately. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, the dog just terrified me. Hold on. Okay.
I did want to mention one other thing too.
Yes,
After
please.
once all this happened, and all these emotions, and the waiting, and trying to figure out, and praying, and trying all that, my daughter and I had kind of went back and like looked and at our Facebook messages, and like kind of tried to compare. And one thing we did realize, and of course I sent this in, they're aware of it, but this person that messaged her was supposedly, it was the same person that messaged me. However, their profile name was the same but had different numbers behind it, and like their about me status on each one was different. Same picture, same name, but it was a name with like some numbers behind it, and the numbers on hers were different than the numbers on that, the messages that I was having. So like that right there in itself is another alarming flag, that what's going on here? Somebody needs to figure this out. I mean, it's extortion. I mean, does he have Sebastian? Is it real? Like, all of that.
Yes, and it is illegal to extort, especially over the internet. And like I said, I'm so glad they put someone on a plane to two different countries, right? Because we know
Yes.
that they're looking
Yes.
for him, and they're looking for Sebastian, probably in Mexico now. One question that came up was, how do we know for sure he has Sebastian? Was he going to send you a picture of him or something to verify? Do you want to answer that?
Well, yes. When he messaged me, he did tell me after he received money, he would send a picture, and then um, he was going to actually let me hear his voice. Now, however, during these messages, I'm not responding because I don't want to respond. I said what I had to say, and the tip at this point, the tip had already been turned over. So I was just every if I got a message, but it was really only that one long message and the few short ones that were sent, on Monday.
Mm-hmm. And then the ones to your daughter. Hi, the real
Right.
me too. Yeah, and
And then
well,
the communications this man had with that night, and the secret question, that
Mhm.
he was, asking for from them. Like, so it went beyond me. He communicated with them as well. So
Yes,
he
he made
he he
contact
was
with
he
him.
is a real person. I mean, he's a real piece of, if you ask me, but you know
Exactly.
what I mean? Like,
Mhm. He's an existing human being, but
right.
he is, subhuman,
Yes, and I
doing
hope they
something like
find
this
him.
on the
I
name of
hope
a
they find
child.
him. And I
Mm,
hope he gets charged. He deserves to be, because this is a child's life you're messing with, and it's not okay.
yes, I agree. I agree. And, sometimes we see where they have them put up a paper with the date also, and
Hmm.
while they're talking, they'll sometimes have them put something up with the date on it and stuff like that, so they
Yeah.
can see that it's current. Wow, Kelly the OG says, "Wow, how terrible can a person be to do this?" Do you still have time to go over their questions and comments, Mindy,
Oh
with
yeah,
me?
sure,
Okay.
sure.
Will someone find out who the scammer is? I believe at night, and their investigators will in One World and Dog's team, whoever's doing that, because they're like they sent someone on an airplane to one country and another. Okay. So they are probably looking for him and Sebastian now.
Yeah, and they have his URL to trace him.
Mhm.
They, like I said, they have mine and my daughter's Facebook accounts have been sent over. So, and I know they had communicated with him. So I hope and pray that he gets in a lot of trouble.
And I can't tell you how quick and efficient they are. I mean, literally within hours, they were writing, to the FBI and saying, to everyone saying, we're ready to fund the reward. And they had, they were in communication. They had made contact with him. You know, I'm sure they had to keep, getting him to come back on like you did, right? He was going on and off. I don't know. But then suddenly they had people on airplanes, and it was unbelievable. And he
Yes.
had crypto accounts. They had people on airplanes going to two different countries. So it was just unbelievable. But what I did hear is that I was just reading about that blood oath. It says it's in Nigeria, but usually it's used on the women. So I wonder if it wasn't a woman.
Hmm.
It
Yeah.
says uh, oaths directly ties women with the spirits from whom retaliation is expected if their agreements are breached. They're talking about Nigerian T networks. So I
Mhm.
wonder if it was a woman, but they have all those names that he gave.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So what
And
I
they were
will
all
tell you
different.
all,
That was the other thing. They were all different. All the names were different.
right, but did you find it interesting that every of the names that he was using, right?
Uh-huh.
Each one of those names was someone in,
Yep.
someone in
Yes.
that has been mentioned in Sebastian's case,
Yes. They were all names that
that
I
had
mean,
been
not
mentioned in
whole
his
name,
case.
not full names, but
No,
like first names of, definitely of people that I have heard of in this case.
yes, it
Yes.
was three first names, and they were three first names that once we looked at it, we're like, oh my gosh, there's a so and so that's been mentioned. There's this person, there's that, and there was someone from that each name in the family, not the family, excuse me, in the case. So
Hmm.
of that have come up here and there. So that was really interesting too. And they did say they knew about the reward. So he was watching. He was going to take an opportunity and try and score 30K, but now he scored probably 30 years.
Yeah.
I don't
Let's
know how
hope.
long. I don't know, what they do for extortion. I do know, oh, what is that family where the boyfriend tried to extort money through the Cash App and the daughter was missing? And
Mm,
he barely got anything, and he's I think in prison or jail or doing a sentence. So
yeah.
I'll have to
Well.
look that case up. And remember Brian Laundrie using the money after?
Yep.
Mm.
Hmm.
And there was a charge out for him on that. So that's interesting. But we don't know. All we can tell you is if you, at night's on it, I have confidence. I really 100% confidence that they have or did have boots on the ground in Mexico, because the way they went into action, there's
Yes.
not a chance if they hear anything about Sebastian that they won't do, because
Yes.
it was really amazing. And I'm hoping now that we will have lots of people who go into action like that, and even, you know, anyone, all of them together. Let's bring him home, and then people can be held accountable. But let's bring him home. Everyone needs to go together. Show what they know. Be transparent. All
Yes.
agencies together. Here's what we got, and that's what At Night is called for, is for them to turn over to the FBI all of their digital evidence, all of their evidence. And they did say this is not a time for embarrassment or ego, or what did they say? Embarrassment or pride?
I can't, something to that effect. I
Something
can't remember
around that.
exactly.
And I've worried all along. I have worried when they wouldn't call in the marshals, but said they weren't going to do any press releases, and they didn't care if the public or what did Seth say? They said they didn't care if the public or what the public or the
Yeah.
constituents thought.
Right.
Not right then. Well, then why don't you call in someone if you don't want to do it? I really did. I wondered, but it's on my mind. Why wouldn't you? If you're not, responding to something, pick up the phone, call the marshals, and say, here.
Yeah. And I think people
Child's
forget.
life. Whether you like Seth or not, whether it's
Exactly.
whatever it's about, whether you love CP, whether you don't know any of them, it's the reason you do it. It's a child's life. It doesn't matter if there's relationships. It doesn't matter who you know. It doesn't matter what you know, who you don't know. You do your duties. And you
Exactly.
also, by the way, after this all aired last night, I received several messages that the locals were scared. And I was like, why? Because I was trying to figure out why. And they said, well, because, you know, they didn't do anything. And now they're scared because it's possible, it could be TRAFF and
Yep.
other things. And they've never been told what to do if they should be afraid. So, and
Right.
now with this coming down in the ransom, it scared people. It's a scary thing.
Yes, it was scary. And it is scary. But I do want to say, like, I feel like people forget that At Night Creative Intelligence Agency is just that. Like they can only go so far, but the places they went and the things they did was unbelievable. But then there's a certain point where law enforcement, you know what I'm saying? Law enforcement has to do their job. And it's just like, why is it not being done? It's just so sad.
I know. It made me sad too. It really did. Robin, you said wasn't the reason for the petition for the FBI. Yes, but in this circumstance, because was a federal kidnapping ransom thing, that goes right now. The FBI is supposed to come in, and so they don't have to wait for a petition to be approved and go before the people and all that, or to be approved after they get the signatures. They are asking for it to go right now. Right now. He is okay. He has not been arrested that we know of. We would have all heard. They are looking for him. I'm sure we'll get an update when they find him or arrest him, or law enforcement has to arrest him. I don't know the answers to that. Um, we know the names that he was going by. We wouldn't release the names anyway. We need to remain safe ourselves, right? Just like the
Yes,
same question answer to why aren't we showing Mindy's face? We all need to stay safe. If they truly are people who would extort, they do other things that are dangerous. You know what I mean? So yeah, in for to fulfill curiosity wouldn't be worth risking lives.
exactly. Which again is why my Facebook is private.
Right, right.
But like I said, Sebastian's case needs to be in the public, and that's why the posts that I made on Sebastian were always public.
Mm-hmm. Wow, it's just they'll go to great lengths, right? The real me
Right.
too says Seth is a great guy and Sebastian is all he cares about. Keep praying for him. It's very hard for him. We are
Every day, every
the
day.
real me too. It broke our hearts that it did not end with Sebastian coming home to him. It was just it was heartbreaking. It really was.
Yes.
I wanted that so badly to be, but we're not giving up hope, you all. We are not giving
Oh
up
no.
hope. We're not giving up hope. I'm coming through your questions, everyone. I can't read the last word, just like YC. He may be local, but it doesn't change the fact that he has. Do you know what that says, Mindy? Can you see
He,
him?
but it doesn't show. I see it, but I'm not really sure. Just like be local.
Okay.
Maybe
Yes,
it's
but it's
has.
okay. What? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I said might have been has. I'm not sure
Right.
what.
Yeah. He may be local. I don't know. Okay. Kiki. But if At Night took over, do they not know? Do they not know what? At Night is not releasing their security, private, investigative tactics and what they accomplished and the intel they gathered and what they saw with this man. They're not going to tell us. They will discuss that with law enforcement. That is certain. That's not something they're going to come out and say, oh, by the way, we know who he is. We've got him. They may tell us when they have him. They may not, but they will tell law enforcement. But we have to remember our curiosity is far less important than the safety of Sebastian
Fashion.
and
Yes.
the integrity of the investigation.
Yes.
How was
Exactly.
how was it determined it was a hoax? They said in the update. Let me pull the update up for you. Let me pull the update up for you because the update explained how they determined it was a hoax. That's a great question. Thank you for asking.
They investigated. That's what they did.
Yes, they did, but they did forensic investigating,
Yes.
digital investigating, boots on the ground investigating. They were interacting with him to get his patterns, his language, his, all that stuff. It was very interesting. I don't have it in front of me. I'm trying to find it right now. Oh, that's right. It's on One World, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, y'all. Here it is. Oh my goodness, my dog's. Come on, honey, stop cleaning your foot right there. Everyone can hear you. Sorry, you guys. I don't know why I'm having such a hard time finding it right now.
I know the link was at not on at nights.
Oh, yeah,
X, and then you clicked it and it took you to One World.
right. I have it on my phone too. Let me just do that. That's easier. Easier, easier, easier. There we go. Okay. I may have even still had it up here. No, okay. So it says in here when they're explaining that they had determined it was a hoax, is what I'm going to come, because this is a good question you all are answering or asking. Okay. On June 23rd, 2025, At Night's National Tip Line received a credible tip involving a $30,000 cryptocurrency ransom demand, a linked digital wallet, and evidence suggesting Sebastian had been teed to Cancun, Mexico. Supporting documentation and screenshots indicated, excuse me, you all, that payment would yield proof of life and access to a witness employed at a local hotel. At Night immediately escalated this critical lead to the FBI, TBI, National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and Sumner County Sheriff's Office. And that was on the 23rd. Follow-up communications on the 23rd, 24th, and 25th included multiple emails and a call to local authorities. The ransom demand outlined a criminal conspiracy, active threats, ransom demands, and cross-border teeing, grounds warranting an immediate federal kidnapping investigation. Meaning FBI heading there, not At Night. Not that At Night couldn't have, but they needed FBI there, is what he's saying. Shockingly, no agency acknowledged or acted upon this lead until a licensed investigator hired by Mr. Rogers, operating near the relevant region, intervened.
Mm.
Okay. At night, documented the lack of response. What was the question? Oh, how did they determine? Okay, here it is. Let's see, each day, I'm trying to see where it said how they figured out it was a hoax, but I'll keep reading. At night, documented the lack of response in a June 25th memo warning authorities of the severity of disregarding this federally mandated TR tip. Only later that day did local authorities respond, briefly stating, "Consider your tip acknowledged." The tip is being investigated by the FBI. Since then, there have been no further updates, clarifications, or actions have been communicated to At Night or the tip source. Mindy is the tip source. Have you been contacted by them?
Nope.
Okay.
No.
The failure to properly investigate poses significant risks. If this tip was fraudulent and At Night prematurely committed reward funds, the capacity to respond to genuine demands is compromised. This unacceptable delay jeopardizes Sebastian's safety. Why we publicly demand an explanation as to why a credible lead suggesting Sebastian may still be alive and in danger was not immediately prioritized. Each day without decisive action increases the risk of permanent loss. Federal authorities must urgently acknowledge, investigate, and transparently report on their handling of this ransom tip. The circumstance indicate kidnapping and international teeing, crimes governed by 18 U.S.C. 1201 with potential application under the Teeing Victims Protection Act. Immediate FBI intervention is unequivocally necessary. There was also the April 6th Treehouse tip. That was this year, April 6th, 3 months ago. It says 2025. An anonymous tip labeled the Treehouse tip was submitted to the Sebastian Rogers reward tip line, consisting of solely a photo depicting a tent-like hideout. This is terrifying. A tent-like hideout with domestic items clearly visible, including boxed water container and a blanket. Critically, the image prominently displayed an email address presenting an immediate forensic lead, although no metadata such as timestamps, GPS coordinates, or device info were embedded in the photo, likely deliberately removed to anonymize its origin. The visual content itself provided actionable investigative leads to track that email. At Night immediately conducted a detailed forensic analysis. Please see Exhibit B, the Treehouse tip submission, recommending urgent law enforcement to follow up. This included tracing the email. So At Night traced the email, analyzed the tent and surrounding items for potential matches to known locations or missing persons cases. So whatever they saw in there, they tried to match what it was, tried to match it with areas and missing people. That's amazing, actually. And preserving the image as evidence. This detailed forensic report, categorizing the tip as potentially significant and deserving escalation, was formally submitted to law enforcement authorities, including the FBI's Rescue Me Unit and the Sumner County Sheriff's Office in early April. Despite these clear recommendations, no documented action has been taken by Sumner County or TBI. To date, there has been no feedback, acknowledgement, or indication of investigative follow-through. Regarding this lead, the lack of action on this credible forensic tip is alarming, demonstrating a concerning and acceptable pattern overlooked investigative opportunities. I'm sorry, guys, I'm trying to find the hoax. Where they confirmed, oh, here. Let's see here. I don't see it in here, but they do address everything they did to run down that lead, right? I thought they did, yes. Okay. So they have a detailed letter going to FBI leadership, Patel Cash Patel, and they copied the U.S. Department of Justice and relevant congressional oversight committees, and they outlined the timeline of neglected leads and investigative missteps, emphasizing the urgency of immediate federal action. This includes highlighting critical evidence such as the unaddressed June 3rd June 23rd ransom tip and overlooked forensic leads. Additionally, we are engaging with Tennessee's Office of the U.S. Attorney and the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division's Human Trafficking Prosecution Unit due to the interstate and international implications of this case. A fresh, empowered federal investigation free from local political constraints and interagency conflicts is essential. Sebastian's safety must be the priority, overriding jurisdictional pride or embarrassment. Trying to see. Okay. They have a quote from Seth's family saying Sebastian's loved ones, quote, "We have diligently tried to work within the system. Now we are publicly putting that system on notice," end of quote. So they did go through it. They went through it. I'm sorry, on the fly, I don't have it, and I don't want, I read the whole thing. Go through my video and my live yesterday. My live last night reads the whole thing of how they tracked that lead down. But they were doing forensic digital on the ground, in contact, and that's what I knew of. So in contact communication, on the boots on the ground, flying people to countries. So that's what I know of that they were doing, and trying to get a hold of law enforcement to let them know that they needed the FBI to be investigating it so they could, because they were ready to fund the reward as soon as they told them that, to go. So when they didn't hear back from them, they got on and were working on all that. And now it will bring in the FBI, in my opinion. Yes, you are right, Nicey. That's, if any, I know it's heartbreaking. We didn't bring Sebastian home. We are going to. We're not going to give up. But if anything, what it did is it will bring federal relief. Cash Patel took an interest in Emily Pike's case here from Arizona, the little 14-year-old who was missing, found unalived, contacted the family, and I believe met with them. So, Kaz, I am going to say I will have to ask, but yes, this wouldn't have been released if it hadn't have been. If this had not oh, go ahead, Mindy, please.
Maybe I want to say, maybe, do you think the hoax is coming from the secret question was not, did that have something to do with them maybe not,
No, meaning a hoax from the guy. Are they sure the guy was a hoax?
Okay.
Is that what you all mean? How were you reading that, Mindy?
I was reading it like, I don't know. Have they actually came out and said? I don't remember reading where At Night has came out and said that this was a hoax. Yes, but I do know that there was a secret question that was asked to this person. Whether or not he knew the answer to it, I'm assuming he did not. I don't know that. I wasn't CC'd in that, communication that far down. But that's what kind of how I was reading it. And yeah, but yeah, I agree. They wouldn't release this if, they sent people there. So,
right.
Undoubtedly they didn't find Sebastian, which is what we had hoped and prayed for.
Mm-hmm.
I think this was a real person who, should really be in a lot of trouble and face a lot of charges for extortion and, false, whatever, all of that.
Kidnapping, all that.
Right.
Pretending. And another thing is that, remember, you all, this started, was it 22nd or 23rd at night?
It started the 22nd in the evening at like 8 something at night.
And before we brought it all to you was yesterday, which was July 1st, right?
Right.
Yeah. So it went on. They were investigating and tracking this guy and the lead and the hotel, everything like that, for 9 days before it came out. So they had investigated. The only thing is they hadn't gotten, they didn't have Sumner County answering, or TBI. Or any of those agencies to come alongside and help out.
Right.
Yes, Kiki, that's, I'm sure, what they did. They are amazing. They have amazing talents. Hi, Landon. Hello, the real me too. Yes, let's all remember to keep Seth in our prayers. That's who this is about. He and Sebastian. And I know it plays out like a movie, cryptocurrency and ransoms, and take them to Mexico, put them in a hotel and all that, and people jumping on planes to check them out. But it's a real life, and we have to remember it's Sebastian's life, and it's Seth's life, and it's Sebastian's loved ones, and whoever interacts with Sebastian, it's their real life, right? We just have to remember that. And that was the saddest part of it all, is the letdown that it wasn't going to be what it should have been for Seth and Sebastian, what we were hoping. And 77MCL says, must have been so stressful, Mindy.
It was very stressful, but it was happy. I mean, there were times when I was like happy, anxious, like, could this be, like, maybe this is real, it was so many emotions. And yes, it's devastating that it wasn't, it didn't find Sebastian, but somebody knows something. And all it takes is one little piece of information, that can help bring him home. And I just hope and pray that somebody says something, or something comes up and we can find him, because he deserves to be home, and he deserves better. um you know a community, especially law enforcement, like you've said a million times. He's a member of that community, and I don't live there. I don't live anywhere near there. But if I did, and I'm terrified, and if I did live there, and I hear that now, not just, now we hear about this treehouse tip.
Yeah,
Creepy.
that
Absolutely. And
I
if
hadn't heard
and
about that either.
yes, and then the tip that I got, like, and they're not doing anything. I would be terrified. I would be livid if I lived in that county, and something would be changing, because it's not okay. It is a child's life. His name is Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, and he needs to come home to his dad.
I agree. And I
And I'm
did
gonna
go
cry
on
if I
the
keep
sheriff's.
talking.
I know, I'm sorry, my friend. I did go on the sheriff page today because I thought maybe he would have posted a response to his community, and there wasn't anything. So they did have some event up, and I just said, well, they said, thank you for all of you sacrificed your life. I think it was an old one, but it was the last thing they had. And I said, great. Could we please find Sebastian? It's his life, or something like that. But there is no recent post, and I'm disappointed about that. And, you know, it's not a matter of liking someone. It's not a matter of disliking someone. It's not a matter of it should not be a matter.
No.
It shouldn't be a matter of us liking them, disliking. It's about Sebastian. But it shouldn't be about Seth being treated one way, you know, and other parents being treated the other way. It should never be about that. It should have been, here's the family. Let's me do my investigation. I'm going to treat you all equally in my investigative tactics. Right.
Yes.
So I am disappointed, and I think that a lot of eyes are on it. We heard last night the locals were really scared to hear all of this was going on. So, like I'll say again, if you want guidance to do the petition for a recall and you're a local, let me know. Otherwise, find a candidate to run against him. You've had a DA sitting in the same seat for 30 to 40 years. That complacency is never good. You need to run people against these individuals if you can find people of quality. That would be my suggestion. Town Chat says they could have pulled his voice from an online video of Sebastian, then matched it up to make it sound like it's him, but it isn't. However, he was to be, they were going to make him be proving the date also, and had a secret question. They could still do that then, Town Chat? I'm not technical like you are, so I really am asking you. So they probably could, right? Even answer a secret question by using I don't know. I'm asking, can they do a secret question with a voice using AI? Like using Sebastian's voice and putting the certain words in, like of the answer? Is there capability my tech skills are showing, aren't they?
I think nowadays, almost anything's possible to be faked, or, you know what I mean? Like,
Probably you're
it's just
right. Yeah.
crazy.
You are probably right. And Bubbly Beth says, thank you so much for coming on and sharing this to us. It, if anything, puts Sebastian's name out there and people looking everywhere again. Yes. And Bubbly, what it's going to do is have a lot of important people be looking at the case now, because regardless, it's not It's not a battle. It's not anything between at night, Sumner, FBI,
No.
TBI. It's nothing of that. It's simply for 3 days when a child's life, you don't know. You don't just ignore it and hope it's BS. You
Right.
investigate it. And
Right. They could have moved him.
that's
They
the
could
point.
have hurt him. Any of those
Yeah,
things could have
that's
happened.
oh my gosh. That was
Time, like it's a life. It's precious. There's no, I mean, you have to act. You have to act on a tip. It's just it. Oh, I just can't
I will
say
tell
enough
you.
how disheartening it is.
I know, I know. I will tell you something that At Night said, and they're just wonderful. They were a great support because we hadn't slept for a few nights. And I said, I said, well, I said something. They said, you know what? You're, you're not going to hear anything right now tonight. And right now. And I said, well, then I'm going to go eat some dinner. And they said, and just because you're going to eat dinner doesn't mean anything's happening to Sebastian. They said, we want you to know that. And they said, more than likely, he's being fed, clothed, taken care of, and he's waiting to come home. Right. But they were so soothing.
Yes.
I mean, and that was so
Yes.
supportive in that situation. Do they know all of that to be true? No, but
Right.
that was where their theory was at that moment. And so it would, but I did try and sleep, and I think I slept a little bit that night, but it was just very reassuring to have that because I've never dealt with this. I've never dealt with a ransom in my life. And I know
Me
you
either.
haven't. So let's see here. Gypsy said, poor Minnie and Jay having to go through this for a baby we've looked for 16 months. Yes. But
Yes.
imagine if it had been the last important tip and he had brought him home. One of them's going to be.
Yes.
One day, one tip will lead to him. People don't disappear.
Nope.
As much as some people like to make us think they do, in many cases, they don't. Kids don't vanish. People don't poof. Charlene, I don't know who would be behind this. I know there's been a lot of theories, people trying to cash in to, go out of the country. This guy trying to cash in and disappear and get some of the reward money and not having info. So you just don't know. People are crazy at times, right?
Yes, which is another reason why you have to take anything like this seriously because you don't know. You
Right.
don't know the time it could be real. What if it would have been real, and brought him home like, oh my gosh, that would have been like the best thing ever. And all it takes is one person or one little piece of information that's out there.
Mhm.
So if my advice is if you know anything, if you get a tip like this, send it in. I mean, like I never in a
Mhm.
million years would have thought this would have happened to me. And again, I know nobody in that family. I've never met anyone in that family. I'm literally just a stay-at-home mom of 4 kids who's been married for 25 years, who absolutely loves true crime, and I care about missing kids. I post Sebastian's flyer in public all the time. And, but Facebook, I don't even use Facebook really. Like I truly don't. The only sole purpose in years since technology's gotten kind of crazy, and I've locked my Facebook down, I just don't post on there, but I felt it was important to post his flyer and to get his picture out there. And that's why, it was public. But it's just going to take one little piece of information, one person to do the right thing. And, we can find Sebastian. And that is all that matters. I don't care who you like, who you hate. That's not what
That's
this is
exactly
about.
right. Fight
This
out
is
the old
about
boys
Sebastian.
thing later on, right? Right
Yep.
now, bring him home. Doesn't matter
Yes.
if you like Seth, doesn't matter who Seth likes, who Chris likes, who Katie likes. None of that matters. It's about
No,
Sebastian. And
exactly.
everyone who isn't doing their part needs to do it,
Right. And they need to be held accountable
including
for not doing it.
including people blood related to him.
Yes.
Not Seth. Seth's doing everything he can. Correct me if I'm wrong, but early on after At Night and Dog took this case, that they were being threatened to leave. Yes, and there has been a alleged 100K hit on some of their lives, and they did receive threats with their pictures of their spouses and children. Yes. That is why Dog is not posting. publicly regarding the case, because when he does, he has alleged attempts, like apparently, and the
Yeah.
threats and the data breaches go up. So let's see what else. And in answer to your question, I do not know if KP and CP, really, CP is so, well, okay, we'll just say it. I don't know if KP and CP have reacted to this at all. Now, here would be the travesty of it. What if law enforcement never reached out to her and told her? And I know many of us, many people, many of you, many of me, this whole, okay, we have our opinions, but I'm saying we always could be wrong. But what if they didn't? And she, that would be a tough one too, right? To
Yeah.
defend. Did you ignore
Yeah.
not tell contact families, mom? And I'm not saying they didn't. I'm not saying they did. I'm not saying anything, but I'm saying it would be a travesty if they didn't, regardless. But then again, remember, Coffin Daffer said, they need to give them updates unless they might be someone. If any of them are considered suspicious, then they don't have to provide updates because it could affect the investigation. So yes, there were threats, yes, and they still are occurring, which is why your dog is not publicly making statements anymore. And Jenny says, I am not sure of the reason, but this has something to do with corruption, in my opinion. Karen says, you do not look for someone if you know where the person is at, allegedly, in my opinion. I agree.
Hmm.
Michelle Scott says, Nicey Marie, wouldn't you like to see their faces right now? Really interesting. I just don't even, it's weird, right? Have
Yeah.
any of you heard a response? Well, okay, let's be fair. Well, that's not true. Seth's team did put out a response. They were speaking for Seth. They even had a quote in there. So yes, they did speak for him. So he was involved in this all along, right? So
Yeah.
I don't know. But as a mother, I would be upset if I wasn't told about it,
Oh,
but
I would be so upset.
yeah, I would be upset unless there's a
But I
reason I'm
think
not. But it would be
I
abnormal for a mother not to be upset if they weren't contacted.
right. But then I think about it this way, like why, I mean, not saying they owe me anything, but why would they not contact me to get this information? You know what I mean? If they ain't contacted me, I don't know. I don't think they probably not contacted them. I mean, you see what I'm saying? Like, why wouldn't they
Mhm.
follow this up? I mean, that just doesn't make sense.
I don't know, and I think this case will be you know what I'm gonna say, y'all? Studied for years down the road.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, Shirley in our chat just finished her master's degree in criminal justice, and Sebastian Rogers was one of her cases they studied in her class because
Wow.
it's high profile. And I'm sure if you do anything with criminal justice, Brian Kohlberger will be in your classes. He'll be a topic. Wasn't that powerful today, by the way, not to change the subject, listening to him admit guilt to all 4 deaths. That was just shocking. Premeditated, even admitting to it, all 4. So,
Yeah.
but yes, those law enforcement agents got him. He didn't leave a speck of anything in the house except for that DNA on the sheath. They got him within 5 weeks. I really thought that was going to be a long time. I was really impressed. But it's not always quick, but it's not going to happen if every stone is truly not going unturned. And that, people say, and we've heard that in these interviews for the last 5 years from TBI, because they say it about Summer all the time. We're making sure no stones unturned. This is one of the most complicated cases we've ever investigated. Now, what in the world? But no stone unturned. We've heard Craddock say, because we've never heard from the lead, Brandon Carter. But we've heard Craddock say no stern unturned. There's no evidence of foul play. The lights were trash trucks. Well, this took care of that, because this update that this press release they put out last night does clarify that was footage. There is footage of the flashlights getting out of the vehicle. And they did get out of the vehicle down by, I'll just tell you, CC's house right behind them. And then the car moved on to the corner. Okay. So just letting you all know that. So now it cannot be said anymore that it's a trash truck, in my opinion, because I mean, we all knew it wasn't, but now that can't be said. And the foul play stuff, I don't think can be said. You know, it's time to be transparent. It's a child's life.
Well,
No,
think about this. Think
no
about
one,
this.
okay, wait, let me clarify.
Okay.
No one confirmed what country it came from. I simply Googled blood oath, because they mentioned a blood oath, and I was Googling it for the big T, and it came up that that's very common with Nigerian trafficking, and especially with the women, keeping the women controlled. So, but no one has confirmed any country, any sighting in Mexico, any other country, anywhere it came from. They have not confirmed that, but that's just what I want to say. I don't want any misinformation going out there. Lord in heaven. They have not found the guy. When they have him behind bars, if that happens, I'm sure they will let you know. Law enforcement has to arrest the person. So they had someone on planes, two different countries they had people flying to. Okay. So probably Mexico, and probably the country in which this guy was possibly tracked to. I don't know. But you have great questions, everyone. Someone says, you might be right at Jenny Machete. I just don't think, and that's an opinion. She said, don't think. They want to, thank you for doing that, 77. They want to be accountable to the Bowers unless they have to be. So they'd rather someone else do something, but they aren't going to make it easy. Well, and that's the thing. But when I agree with you. But when you're not asking the other people to come in and do it, then there's going to have to be some explanations. Like, why aren't you calling them in, but yet you're not responding with expeditious? I mean, honestly, I'm speechless. Aren't you, Mindy? I mean,
yes, I'm still speechless. It was so urgent. And like, again, it's been 16 months and you get something like this and you don't do anything. And again, it's Sebastian's life and he matters and he deserves better.
Absolutely. And Teresa, this has been my thinking. I thought this too. I wonder if some of what he was saying is true and he got scared that the cavalry responded, and that not something he expected. It could be. They're figuring it out, and maybe I don't know. But this was, they said that they didn't believe him to be, in the first it sounded very credible, but in the last minute that they deemed he may not be credible, that it was a hoax most likely. But they haven't stopped looking into him by any means. And when we say at night in one world, I do want to let you all know the capacity to the amount of people we're speaking about.
Oh yes, there's a lot.
So I just do want, yeah, we want to, it's not like, I know some people are just imagining like a few
Nick and home.
and
That's what
dogs
they're imagining,
there,
probably.
right?
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
stick behind a keyboard. Oh no.
Yeah.
They have masses of people. So.
Yes. Yeah, their names were actually, CC'd on some of the emails, the correspondence. So I actually saw, yes, it's a lot of people from a lot of different places, I might add.
Yes.
A lot of different countries.
Oh, yes. Yes. And you know what else? Like, Sasha, great statement. I think we need to reach out to Barron Trump for Sebastian. He's young, kind-hearted, and has some pull with his pops. The Trumps have already been reached.
Yep.
Via our dear friends at night. Like I said, they've got a lot of pull high up and all around, and so does Dog. So yes, the Trumps have been contacted. Kash Patel has been contacted, and that is indeed why. And the Tennessee Attorney General, the Department of Justice, it's going all over. And that's why I was checking for a press release today from Sumner County, because I was expecting a statement, because their locals are upset. I'm sure they've heard from a lot of locals today. They may have even heard from, family members going, I don't know. But I was looking for a statement, and there was not one. So maybe there isn't going to be one until Kash Patel or the FBI make one. I don't know. But one thing they did say is, this is a child's life. It's no time for embarrassment, meaning if you didn't do something, if you skipped investigative steps, if you didn't document, if you let more things like a flyer be inaccurate for 15 months before changing them, things like that, it's no time for embarrassment. Deal with it later. This is a child's life. And if it's pride or however they put it, let's not worry about that. Let's bring Sebastian home. And that is all of our goal. And Mindy, I want to thank you so much. I think we've gotten most of the comments. Jen, you had a great comment. Jen said now it concerns her because she does post the flyers on her Facebook. Right? And Jen says he may have traveled and used a public computer. Oh, well, then they would have had location at least, right? And CCTV most likely. That would have been a benefit, in my opinion. I could be wrong, though. I am not, I am not, my word is not all. My word is my opinion, and I always want you all to form your opinions. I want to thank all of you, by the way, for all your super stickers, your new memberships. Peggy, Minnie, thank you for the super stickers. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Jen and Georgia, thank you for starting us off tonight. You are so welcome. And Mindy, they're thanking you. Holly, thank you so much. Excuse me. Thank you so much. Nicey Marie, thank you. Nicey says, thank you, ladies, for fighting for Sebastian. Yes. And I know everyone in this room would be doing the same thing if they got the same messages. Well, not everyone, because we just dealt with some people who didn't, but they're not in our room.
Right.
Holly, yes, thank you for your super sticker. I caught myself there. Me and you, thank you so much for 2 months of your support to the channel and prayers for Sebastian and Seth. We are all Sebastian strong. We are Sebastian's army. Many of us have committed this week to putting out flyers. Many of you do it every week. I'm amazed. I'm going to be doing it near the Phoenix airport, near hotels and motels and some rest stops. Debbie W, welcome to our family and our reunion. Family reunions are Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern. And thank you so much for joining us. Everyone, welcome a new family member, Debbie. And Holly, thank you again. Thank you, my dear friend. Minnie Panthers, thank you again. And we always enjoy your humor. And I will go back and look for the video you sent me. And Peggy, thank you so much. Prayers for Sebastian and Seth. Absolutely. Let's remember, every night we're up here, and we're talking, and we're theorizing, and maybe we're going into things like this, that we're here because a family has an empty chair, an empty bed, a backpack not being packed, a dinner not being made for him, school clothes not being bought, fishing trips not being had. And that's why we're here. And we're curious about a lot of things. Of course we are. We're curious of a lot of things, and we want to hear because we're invested. Sometimes I think about that, like Seth's birthday. He probably hasn't had a birthday that he's even wanted to address or acknowledge since Sebastian went missing, in my opinion. Whispering Winds, thank you so much. There was a huge conflict of interest because of their intertwined friendships with BS, LE, TBI, PF, DG. Yes. In my opinion, I agree with you. All right, thank you so much, Whispering Winds. And prayers, thank you, me and you. Yes, prayers. And you're such a great community. And Maj, you did a fabulous job again tonight. I just want to make sure I got everyone's. Holly, thank you. So is the FBI going to get involved? Well, they did contribute to a reward, but now what's being asked, and I can't imagine that it's not going to happen after it gets to the FBI director, the White House, the Department of Justice, the Tennessee state attorney, everywhere, that a ransom request was not responded to, reacted to, and followed up on. So I would assume at the very least, the FBI will be coming in. I'm hoping it brings in the marshals. I'm hoping it brings in the marshals. Hey, Sasha, how are you? Oh, your headphones are fried. I'm sorry, but we're glad you're here. Nina is in the United States. She is in New Mexico. And this lead was saying that Sebastian was in Cancun, Mexico, this country of Mexico, not the state of New Mexico. No, Mindy can't tell us what state she's in. No, why would y'all?
Why does it matter?
That's what I was just going to say. There would be zero relevance for Mindy to say what state she is and her daughter is in, other than for them to become very unsafe. Y'all, please remember, our chats get watched. Please remember,
Yes.
our chats get watched. Everyone's chats who deal with Sebastian get watched. They have been for almost a year. But yeah, that would be just like someone said, why aren't we showing her face? Well, let's think about that. If we're really dealing with people who would extort money for a child and now they're being exposed, we have to remember safety first. Safety first. We want Sebastian to come home. We absolutely want Sebastian to come home. And there's no what relevance would anyone get from knowing where Mindy is? Curiosity, because there's nothing anyone would know. There's nothing you would need to know because they have the URLs, they have everything. And that, to say the state would just, you know what that would do? Put a target on her back and her daughters. Yeah, just a random person to get this message. And someone else had brought up, Shirley had brought up a good point, Cece. Shirley had said, make sure your daughter checks her Facebook periodically. Is she younger? Or
My daughter, she's an adult. She's 24. Okay. She has been checking it. Hers is now, she has made hers private, more private too, but also they have our Facebooks. Like, we had to send that over for, law enforcement purposes. So, but yeah, again, the reason my Facebook is private is because of all of this. Like, yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. Like, I have a child who is the same age as Sebastian, who has high functioning autism, that I worry about, all kinds of things with. And I can't imagine if something were to ever happen to him. I can't, Seth, my heart, if Seth is listening, I just want to say that I hope and pray every day that somehow Sebastian can come home to you, because I know what I don't know. I can't say that I know, but I just, my heart hurts. My heart hurts for him, because I just can't imagine this happening to my son, and me getting, the lack of response and this long of time. In my mind, I'm like, wait a minute, how is it okay for parents to just lose children? Like, I'm kind, like, I feel like if this was me, how would all, would it all be this way? Like, it's scary. Kids don't disappear. They don't. It don't happen. And Sebastian is out there somewhere, and he needs to be found. And I just hope and pray.
One way or another. And no one's shown me there's any proof he's not with us.
No.
And there's a lot of things that point to Big T or a
lot
school underground or something.
A lot. Yes.
There's a lot of stuff pointing those ways.
I completely agree.
And Jenny Machete said she didn't think she said hello to you, Donna. So she wanted to say hello. Hi, Donna. Hi, Whispering Winds. And hello to Mindy. And then let's see. Tracy with an I said, it speaks volumes who responds and who waits and doesn't do anything, in my opinion.
I agree.
I not only does it speak volumes, I think we're all kind of speechless, because we never would expect to see this when it's a child.
Right.
I mean, never in my wildest dreams would I think a ransom would come in. You can't get a hold of the local law enforcement, who's the lead, and won't turn it over to anyone else, but can't answer it. It was terrifying.
Yeah.
So they're on it. there a false ransom and is extortion. That's right. There's for the
Yes,
FBI should become involved. Yes, Kaz, that's what they're
I
calling
agree.
for. And they're calling for the FBI to get involved with Summer and Sebastian and look into Summer's case too, the investigation.
Yeah, it's I didn't follow Summer's case when it all happened, but I do know a lot, and I if I remembering correctly, some of this kind of stuff happened in her case as well. Like, wasn't there some kind of like fake ransom or something caught in? Or I mean, it's just
I
crazy.
don't
I don't
recall that, but they're
was
very
there one.
similar. They're very similar. I don't recall, but that doesn't mean there wasn't. Hi,
Yeah, see,
Babs.
I don't know 100% because, like I said, I didn't follow it. I know all about it now, but yeah, I mean, I hope the FBI gets involved, and I hope they get involved soon, and they bring him home and Summer home and any other child that's missing.
Yes, and I agree. And Sasha said, Buzz, remember the picture of Summer at the hotel with Candy looking like she was in pain? Oh, yes. Candace said
Hmm.
Summer got a piece of candy from Grandis. What does that mean? The whole thing. Yes, that there's so I've started going back and looking into Summer's case. Um, there's so many similarities, and that's why I have both in Tennessee, but all the other similarities. And yes, Sasha, I kind of do remember that, and I need to go back and look at that. I do remember she got candy from Grandis. Yes, I do. And I remember where she looked like she was in pain. Was that the picture with her little friend? And Gypsy says, Mindy, I want to thank you and your daughter for everything you did to try and rescue Sebastian. Amen.
Oh, but you don't. No, I don't need a thank you. I just did what I felt like I would hope anybody else in my shoes would do. And if it were my kid, you just you can't let something like that go. And it's a child's life. I'll say it. Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. He matters, and he deserves better, and he needs to come home. And I
Absolutely.
hope anybody, if you ever get any kind of tip, please report it.
Yeah.
Anything, please don't, even though, because like I said, my daughter, she at 24 years old, she's very tech savvy, and of course, she's like, Mom, that's not, that's fake profile, but nowadays everything can be faked. Fake custody papers,
Yes.
I've seen it all. Like
And
it
fake
can
birth
be done.
certificates. Yes.
Yes, it can be done.
Hmm.
And that's why
Yes.
you can't take anything like this for granted. And I'm not here for thank yous. I'm not here for gratitude. I'm here to find Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. That is it.
Yes. And Town Chat's got a says, in my opinion, I have a feeling the scammers within the US somewhere. Interesting theory, Town Chat. Also another reason we don't want to release her state
Right.
or her
Right.
face. But yes, that's
Yeah.
a good theory. I mean, it could be. They could be so local and pretending they were somewhere else. Maybe they looked up Blood Oath and TR and all that like I did and learned about it. We don't know. But let me tell you, they had accounts and stuff. They had digital, all that stuff.
And I do want to say too, I want to thank At Night for their response, and for their communications with me, for including me, because of course when you submit something like that, and especially when you have been following the case and been posting the flyer, I mean, I was on pins and needles. I don't think I sat down like all day. I'm just like pacing with my phone, my checking my email. And I really appreciate the response. I appreciate them including me in some of the correspondence that they had to kind of help keep me at ease too, because I was worrying, I was crying, I was praying, I was scared to death. I mean, I went through it all. And Jay, thank you, because if I mean, you were there, and that's the other reason, we follow these cases, or and we watch videos on YouTube or live streams, but I don't talk to people. Like, I don't go out here and go on panels, or like go in chat rooms and just chat. I comment here, you might see some green hearts, or agreeing with stuff, or some stuff like that, but like, I don't, you know, talk about this to anybody. So when this happened, it was like, oh my God, I got somebody, I have to have like somebody to talk to, somebody who I can trust, who I feel will help me get this information to the right people. And so Jay, I really want to thank you for being that person.
Yes, you are very welcome. And I want to thank you for, trusting me, and I'm glad you didn't have to go through it alone. I really do. I'm
Oh,
glad.
yes,
I
same.
really
And I
am.
hope this never happens again.
And
And
I'm
I hope
glad
that,
I checked
I
my
mean, you know,
email.
but
And if it does, I'd rather,
yes, I want
you're
it
a
to
good
be
person to
real.
go through it with.
I will report it for
Yeah,
sure.
I will too.
But
It's just really, really, it was scary. It was a
it
lot.
was so scary.
And you know what?
Yep.
Someone just said something, what if there's a little bit of truth in what he said, and that's why they're investigating. Absolutely. You're right. You know, why did none of the other agencies get involved? We know Sumner County wouldn't do anything, but what about the others? That's part of the press release that said they reached out to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, and Sumner County. And within a few days, no one had reacted or responded. So no, they reached out to all of the agencies. And then
Every one of them.
they got a response from Brandon Carter that said, consider this received or something, acknowledgement
Consider
for
this
your.
consider this tip acknowledged. It is being investigated by the FBI.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So it was, oh, your daughter's here, my friend.
Oh, yep, that's her.
Hi, Mia. Mindy's
That's
daughter
her.
here. I figured I'd join to help answer some questions they may not see or be able to get to. Well, hey, hey.
See, I told you she was tech savvy.
hmm Um, I would love to bring her up on panel. You want to come up or you just want to answer from chat?
She probably more of the chatter.
Okay.
I
Okay.
can't see the chat, so yeah,
Oh, you
if
can't
she
see
wants
her?
to do. No, I'm on my iPad. I just
Okay.
got StreamYard pulled up, so no, I can see what you post, what you pull up, but I'm not like watching the chat. I don't care. I'm here for Sebastian. I mean, not that I don't care about the amazing people in chat, but you know what I'm saying? Like
I know what you mean.
I just wanted to explain what happened and how, this affected me and everything that went down. So
Maude, we have someone who's in the chat acting very rude. Can we ban her, please? We don't do that here. Oh, okay, I did it. Okay, sorry.
and
Yeah,
that's another reason why I chose you, because you are very respectful and you keep it Sebastian. As it's Sebastian. It's not anything else. This is about Sebastian. And so
mhm,
that right there is another reason that I felt like you were the person I wanted to kind of help me with this and help me get through it.
mhm. Well, I appreciate that. And I mean, you were amazing. You were diligent. You were vigilant. You got on it. You sent it to me. We did. We went through it together. We'll
Yeah,
always have each other now.
over it. Yeah, you're right.
That's quite a shared experience you never want to have. Um,
Yeah,
Joe says FBI and U.S. Marshals for Sebastian, they shouldn't have to have Sumner County's permission, in my opinion. I think they said to please rise above the jurisdictional, um, whoever has jurisdiction right now, please. They said in the press release, I'm paraphrasing, and let's get people in here. Um, So if we have anyone, guys, if there's anyone who's just being hard to get along with, just let's time them out. We don't have time for this. We have a guest. And when we have guests, we don't put up with it. At Mia says, at Tina D, I'm still learning how to tag folks here. Well, you're in the right chat because they're very patient. I have the worst tech skills. Not sure why no one else got involved, unfortunately. It's incredibly disappointing because it makes me worry about how many other tips were ignored. Yes. And thank you, Mia, for not ignoring it. I know it was crazy what he was saying, but thank you for not ignoring it and calling him a cuckoo and moving on, right? So I
yeah,
appreciate that. And Mia also said, especially ones that have led to finding Sebastian and they wouldn't even know it. I think everyone's upset about that and worried right now about that. And that's because confidence, I think this kind of deflated confidence.
yeah. Yeah.
Jack lady said,
She has listened to me this whole, since Sebastian's been missing. My husband don't want to hear me rant, or hear about, stuff like that. And so she's been my go-to, to talk about Sebastian. So she knows about Sebastian, and she knew that I was, posting the flyers, like I said, and all. So that's why when she saw it, even though she assumed it wasn't, a real profile, she immediately came to me because she has a brother. She gets it, you know what I mean? And it's just what it's important. And I'm glad. I know there's no doubt she wouldn't have shown me, but I'm still just so thankful that she did, just
I am.
because it.
Oh my goodness, yes, absolutely. And I just by accident interrupted you and took the comment down. I am so
Oh,
glad
it's fine.
as well. And Mia says Sumner County hasn't been involved either, which is BS in my opinion. This child should have been found ages ago. Amen.
She
I
don't mince her words. I'll tell you that much.
know, I think everyone's just really worried.
Yeah,
Everyone's just so worried. And Shack Lady said there's a psycho person who tried this crazy stunt during Dylan Brown's case, even produced a pic. Oh my gosh. People
yeah,
need to be charged. Yes.
yes, they do.
Yes, they do.
Mhm. Mhm.
Let's see here. Let's see here. Well, 50 out of 50. I'm trying to find some for Mia since Mia's here now. Thank you, Teresa, for letting me know Mindy's daughter was in here. I appreciate that. Valley Girl says, Jay, it's completely scary for locals. I wish people would realize many of us have our heads on a swivel. I can imagine.
Yeah,
Valley Girl, I cannot imagine. It's scary from a distance. I cannot imagine. And I was reached out to numerous times last night saying the locals are scared, really scared. And at first I was like, why, what's going, what happened suddenly? And then it was the ransom. It was the hearing that it wasn't responded to, that there was a ransom. So we're with you, Valley Girl. We understand it. I can't even imagine what it would be like. And putting your head on a swivel makes sense because you're going to be watching your surroundings all the time and watching your back. I'm sorry you all don't feel safe. I really am. It's heartbreaking. I hope you all find someone to run against him or use the petition to recall, in my opinion. So I'm going to skip through opinions on what they could have done just because we have a couple of, they're here for just a few more minutes. And I agree. We all have great suggestions and we can go over those, but I want to give the questions first, okay, to our guests since they're here. But we can go over some of the things of, maybe this and that, another night. I hope they find him and throw him in jail. I do too.
yes.
And 77 says, yes, at Mindy, yes, at night works with local and federal law enforcement on all levels, hand in glove, because they don't arrest. They gather everything and prepare for the arrest. They are an asset, which is why we need Sumner County. Exactly. That's why they were
Yes.
trying to get the response from them, right? Thank you
Yes.
for clarifying that, because they need them. They can't arrest. They can't, they were wanting to fund, but they need them to get the FBI in to do the investigating. So they need that. They can't just go and, willy-nilly. I think the residents in Hendersonville will feel better about coming forward now. I hope so, because
I hope so.
Sumner
Oh,
County's not in charge. They're busted in my. Yeah, I hope all of you residents can get a sense of peace and safety. It's been a long 16 months for you all too. But I would suggest a peaceful protest. I would.
yep.
I would suggest things like that. I would suggest finding someone to run against him. I would suggest putting out a petition for recall. You only need 15% of your voters. And that may even just get someone's attention. It may just be enough to get attention from, the attention that you're not doing what we expect of you, because that is what it is. They are working for you all. It's what you all expect. Like Sheriff Morrison from Washington said, who's tracking Travis Decker, the three beautiful little girls, Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia, who lost their lives. He said, we are out here doing everything we know the family expects us to be doing and that you in the community expect from us. And that's That's the bottom line. And that's why I'm really disappointed for you all, because what if it was your child? Would you tolerate this? No. You want this solved so the next child that goes missing, this isn't the case. So I feel for you all. Let me know anything I can do to help you, truly. And
And
yes,
vote. It's so
yes,
important
I
to
did,
vote.
chat. Thank you so much. I'm sorry I haven't responded, my dear friend. I haven't responded yet because we were preparing for this, but thank you. Yes, indeed. And I will get back to you. It might be tomorrow morning. And well, I'll look at it and it might be tomorrow, but it might be tonight. Thank you, my friend. Mia says, thank you, Teresa. Thank you for the love, Teresa. Yes, we have a wonderful. Sebastian's an Amber Alert and refuses to communicate with anyone from anywhere in regards to him as his violation. This is multi-jurisdictional case.
Yes.
Immediately went Amber Alert. And the Department of Justice
That's
has an Amber Alert field guide with regulations for media when there is an Amber Alert child. So those are not being followed either. The stipulations, they are supposed to keep the child's name and face out to the public, even if you don't have anything investigative to share. You still share about them. So please be respectful in chat to our guests. Thank you, Jenny, for saying that. Hi, Joanne. Always good to see you, my friend. SI, I'm glad you're here. I'm getting to you. I know that we missed our appointment. You were busy, and then I got busy, but we'll get to it, my friend. So, hello, everyone. Let's be kind. Mia says, I shared most of her posts, yes, which is how we believe he found me. Okay, so Mia was sharing her mother's posts on Facebook. Hey, Sassy. Mia has been sharing her mother's posts of the flyers about Sebastian. Mom's account's private except for public when she shares Sebastian's things. And then Mia went and shared them. And this is how the man made a connection to Mia, because he couldn't connect to Mindy because Mindy's was private. So he asked Mia to reach out because he knew where Sebastian was. And that's when Mia got tough with him. And it was awesome. So, what do you mean? You trafficked a child?
she said, you kidnapped, are you saying, what do you mean you kidnapped a child? Like,
I
come
mean, that
on.
was great, Mia. You were awesome. You should join an investigative team. It was hilarious. And yes, it's very creepy. So lock down everything. Oh my goodness. Yes, it was terrible to do to Seth, terrible to do to anyone who loves Sebastian, his family, get their hopes up, right?
Yeah.
You didn't hear my dogs? Town chat. They barked. Well, the one barked. She really barked. She scared me, town chat. Mia says, I personally, or at CC, I agree 100. To go to those links to reach out just made it seem more real to me personally. Yes. And the details being given.
Right.
The crypto account, the digital, what did they call it? A digital wallet, and then a Tether account, and Cancun, take him there for a while. Sassy, it's good to see you. Take him there for a while. Thank you, Jen, for the reminder. Yes, please use in my opinion, because we are speculating about a lot of things as we go based on the facts of what happened. So I am making sure you put that degree to work, Shirley. We need you working. We need you working. You're my Google now. I don't Google. I ask Shirley. Well, and I have someone else I asked too who's in the chat, and she's a wonderful researcher. And I don't know if she wants me to say her name, so I won't. But I got a couple of you, well, several of you now that I'm looking through. But everyone, we want to say thank you. Were there any? I think we've kind of exhausted our guests. And Mia, thank you for coming in and joining. Truly appreciate you helping your mom out, you helping each other get through it and not ignoring it and reaching out to me. And at night's amazing, and they're gonna get the responses and the things that we need now for Sebastian, because they did send it to Kash Patel, they sent it to the White House, they sent it to Department of Justice, United States Attorney General, and they said many congressional oversight committees. So lots of eyes are on it. Plus, remember, we've all been writing letters. Mia says 2,000 acres isn't enough when it's believed HT is a factor in this. They are failing this poor child, and it's extremely disturbing. At Karen, yes, it is. Yes. Shirley at night didn't say where exactly they were, but they flew to two different countries. So I would assume they were in all the hotels checking Cancun. Yes. But they can't tell us that for sure. But yes. At night will not give out, not even to at night, of what they are doing on an investigation. Just saying. Thank you, Shack Lady, for sharing that. And they may not, but they should have acted on it, right? Because at night was in the ones interacting. So, but that's a great comment, and I appreciate you saying that, because yes, they don't need to share with anyone, but it is the father's team. So does that make a difference? I don't know. Let's see. Okay, you all, we are going to end it here, say our good nights. And I want to thank you for being here and being so kind to our guests, Mindy and Mia, mother and daughter team. If we've missed any questions, please feel free to put them under my community post or on this topic or under this video, and I will collect them and answer them for you. It's just been a long 2.5 hours and a long week, and started with BK, and the day today started with Brian Kohlberger admitting verbally, which was chilling and powerful, premeditation unaliving of all 4 victims in Idaho. It was very chilling. If you missed it, I've got it on my channel. Go back and watch. It was something else. And they will be back July 23rd. Yes, July 23rd for his sentencing and all the victim impact statements. So we will be streaming. It's supposed to take all day, if not into the 24th. Thank you so much for being here, Mindy and Mia. Thank you for seeing something, saying something, receiving something, saying something. You rock. You're amazing. You're vigilant, your diligence, your tenacity to get everything in, to reach out to them, me. Thank you. Truly appreciate. We are going to bring him home. It will make a
Yes.
difference. Every single person on alert. And we have a strong team here right in this community. Sebastian's team, YouTube has got a strong Sebastian's army. We've got a huge army, and we are Sebastian strong. My guests, thank you so very much. My guests visiting, my special guests, as well as my guests in the chat. I want to say thank you to each and every one of you. Mods, fabulous job as usual. Thank you all for everything. Keep keeping on. And until tomorrow, talk soon. Thank you, everyone.